Okay, guys. So thanks for being the part of our focus group discussion, and we would like to begin this by first of all give a brief introduction of yourself and uh, the kind of gadgets you use. For example, what smartphone you are using right now. We can start from there. So, Nandini.
Okay, I'm Nandini and I'm from a technology background, so I have a good idea about what smart gadgets are. And I use a Samsung phone.
I'm Prakhar. I'm from a design background, but I love technology. I use a lot of products. Currently, I'm using Nokia Lumia, and
Hi, I'm Abhishek. I'm using a Sony Ericsson phone, and I'm from manufacturing background, so I'm more interested in usage of technology in the manufacturing sector.
I'm Arpan. I'm from a non-tech background, but only use technology. I mean, I'm the end user for technology. I'm currently having a Tab and BlackBerry.
I am Nisha. I'm from a technology background and I am using a Samsung Galaxy S3 phone.
Great. So, just to set the agenda right, how many of you guys have heard about Google Glasses? All of them. So, the agenda is we want you to talk about wearable technology like Google Glass or smartwatches. So, these are two of the products that come to mind. In future, if these products become easily available, what kind of activities would you like to perform with them? So we can start the discussion by actually thinking about or being creative as to what you would like to do with such a product.
I'll start with the Google Glass concept. I think using it at a very regular interval, I don't see myself doing that. But in situations like when I'm traveling and I'm not in a place which is known to me, that will come to a lot of help. Uh, I can think of a cricket match probably sitting there. I can see what's going on, the stats and everything. Such kind of usages. But I don't see it being a part of my life day in day out.
but I think wearable technology saves a lot of valuable time and energy. I mean, supposing you're receiving a call, you don't have to put your hands in your pocket. You can actually save those 2 seconds. If you save 2 seconds, like every 5 minutes, you're saving a lot of time by using wearable technology. Though this has its disadvantages, I'd say. Like, uh, for example, Google Glass may be very distracting. You're walking on the road and you're still multitasking with your eyes. You might just meet with an accident and stuff like that. So there are security concerns, but I mean, it does help. So we'll have to figure out a way in between where this can help without obstructing our daily lives. That's some concern.
I think we can also break the products into two categories: one for personal usage and one for, say, industrial usage. For personal usage, as Prakhar noted down, that we can use wearable glasses, and there are certain aspects to it which may go against it. But in the industrial usage, I can see a lot of usage which will actually enhance the productivity of say, a mass production line. For example, an electronic mass production line wherein if operator generally needs only one eye to see all the products what he manufacturing. So the other eye can be having that spec which will be giving him the next coming product in line. So that his time is saved. It will add to the productivity.
Basically, product identification becomes
Yeah.
very easy if you use augmented reality.
And you can literally see the world from someone else's eyes. Supposing I'm wearing a Google Glass and I can actually record stuff with it, and someone else having the Google Glass can actually see it like live, if that's possible through Google Glass.
Adding on to what Prakhar is saying, there's an example where a doctor used a Google Glass in an operation and collaborated with other doctors and got inputs on how to do it better. So it has a lot of applications in professional areas also. For example, athletes can use it during training to find out your speed, how good you're doing. And I think even for retail users, it's very good because you can use it as a hands-free telephone. You can do everything. You can use it for GPS. You can use it as Google now. You can talk to the glass, record videos. So in that way, I think it will have a lot of applications in the future. Right now, it's not evolved. So probably right now people may not be using it well. When it's in a very evolved stage, I see a lot of applications for it.
But then there might be security concerns also while using it. Supposing I'm wearing a Google Glass,
Right.
you never know when I can record what you're doing or when I can take a photo of you. So just
So
walking.
an indicator
I
says
think
you're
the functionality
No, I mean that will depend on the distance that you're at, right? So if you're close by, you would know, but if you're far away, you never know what
The
I'm
future
doing.
depends a lot on the functionality and the ease of usage. Like some glasses are something which people might not want to wear all the time, even if it has a multifunctional thing. But a watch is something which people are generally used to wearing. So if it is easily wearable and easy to use, then that kind of a technology will definitely have a better future.
So I think that's a great point. If given a chance for you guys, apart from Google Glasses, what other kind of wearable tech would you prefer? You can think of and like watch is one example.
There can be a helmet sort of thing which will have a screen. Helmet generally have a visor in front
Right.
that can actually act as a screen. Right now, just a while ago, Arpan mentioned about being in a cricket stadium and watching and looking at the stats. Suppose the batsman is having a helmet that has a screen. On that screen also, he can see you can say the replay of the last ball he faced. He can maybe analyze what kind of ball came, what kind of mistake he did on that ball, and then switch on to the manual mode and he can play.
But
I
then
think
that will be
that-
obstructing the
I think that will be better for the umpires to see whether it's a
That can be
correct or not.
another
That is a
But
very
it'll kill the sport, and if you bring so much technology
No,
into
okay,
the sport.
let's not
It's
go
just a
into
kind of
Ah,
usage.
generally, yeah.
But an umpire can you make use of it for a better.
But I think
decision.
incorporating it into something like a jewelry, maybe a ring or a chain, which is there with you always, it is definitely, you don't have to wear an extra accessory, especially to use the technology. I think that is what will serve the purpose completely.
I think at the same time, the size of because if you talk of a ring, the battery backup for a ring will be not too much because the size of the battery incorporated in that will be very small. So I think that again, I think that is the major bottleneck for it to become a mainstream device where it can be used 24/7 by anyone.
I think that is common to all the wearable tech, right? Because all of them are struggling with the battery. Right?
Is at the same time, a watch probably has a bigger volume as compared to a ring. That's what my point is.
So, ring has a little balance or something which has a greater surface area. But the point is, it is there with you always, and you don't have to wear something extra because of it.
So building on to that point. For example, if you have a product which is GPS enabled, right, and it's a wearable product, what kind do you prefer? Would you prefer an application running on such a product having GPS on it, and wherever you are going, it is actually tracking you, and you can get, let's say, recommendations, ratings, news about the locality.
See, if it is
things like that.
possible to activate it only when I want it, then it's fine. But if it happens on its own, like it keeps happening whenever you're going, then it's a lot of.
So I think that inbuilt functionality has to be there.
Like you can switch it off whenever you want to.
Or you
Because
can
you
share
don't
your,
want to be tracked all the time.
you want to share your location with only specific people. So
Yeah.
that functionality I think can always be good.
It has its pluses and minuses both. Pluses can be security also. Because if you're going to some unknown place for the first time and people who know you may be actually tracking your whereabouts just in case you get into some kind of accident or something. So it can help you also, and it has minuses also in terms of privacy.
And I think from security perspective, for women's security, it will be a definite plus because of the increasing number of crimes are taking place. So I think that way it will be an advantage. But again, as Kathal said, you wouldn't want to be tracked always. So the option of having it switched off at your own convenience is important.
But I think one more thing is that when you go to an airport or something, frisking takes place. So there you are actually expected to put off all your mobiles and all for taking purpose.
Right.
Such a device to actually check it if it is being used for switch off or not, or whatever we use for it. So I think it will be a challenge for security companies to track these things.
See, things like these will lead to a lot of sting operations and things like this. Yeah, which is like because it's so much easier to capture any wrongdoing now.
Everybody would become a journalist.
And I think that's a good thing, right? Maybe it might lead to reduced corruption and all these black
think
market.
of
But
it.
it's pluses and minuses also.
Yeah.
You can manipulate the footage whatever you are having.
At the
Another
same time,
important point would be people can remember their wasted nights. Next morning they don't have to ask people what they did.
We can have self-made hangover movie.
But at the same time, if you are sitting in a closed group, you tend to gossip or do certain talks which are not supposed to be public. That kind of privacy infringement will definitely have to be investigated.
Yeah, I think so. One of the point is anything that is filmed is actually public. So people say I can film something for my private use, but that is actually not true. Anything that you film anywhere.
But then another interesting feature would be, supposing you're walking on the street, you see someone through your Google Glass, and he actually identifies, okay, this is the guy, this is the other. It's a lot of privacy, this thing, but wouldn't it help, like, to know everyone around you, what sort of a face recognition?
But then it may change your perception about the individual, right? So if a guy is coming up from there and you get the data, okay, this guy
I'm just talking about the possibilities of what you can do.
Right.
So it'll be
basically, I mean, as the definition goes, it is just augmenting your reality. Whatever you see, you are just getting extra information about it. I mean, now
And to what level that augmentation is good is something which is subject to a lot
also
of...
it will lead to a lot,
Exactly.
lowering of the human interaction element, because you don't have to go to the person, shake hands with him to know who he is. Now you can just look at him and like.
at the same time, at an airport, if you know that guy is also interested in music, or you can just go and share your, whatever your views on like-minded personalities you can talk to. I mean, okay, that kind of data, what you use for is always subject to.
I think for the music aspect also, like for people who are guitarists or lead band members, they wear what? They wear a guitar, right? They have their music instruments there. So do you think some possibility for them to be a bit tech savvy guitar? What would you do with it?
Thought about it, but
Okay, one thing I want to bring up, which you can think about is, this is again, as if what I get from your discussion, it is technology taking a next step. It is a bigger intrusion in your life. So how far is the intrusion of technology affecting your life as well?
That's what I think. It definitely reduces your social interaction, because at the touch of a button you can talk to anyone, or you can just whatever, you get all the information on the updates. But then again, it has its pluses and minuses, whereas everything becomes very easy, but the general the social interaction level comes down very much.
Because if you're
That
able
is
to
it.
see the person right in front of you through Google Glasses, talk to him as if he's right in front of you, why would you actually make the effort to go and see him? So the whole social interaction will go down. So I think it definitely might help in some places, but it might also kill the the joy of interaction.
And also there might be privacy concerns, like Prabha was saying, you see a person, you automatically get information on that person. It might not be something you would like to
And
actually.
like these days, at least relatives go visit each other for festivals, if nothing else, not on daily basis. If something like this comes up, you can see the person and just wish that person. So maybe that interaction will also reduce. So that I really feel that it would be a problem.
The technology is so good as to it is giving the same feeling of physical interaction with some person. Then I don't think it's going to
So
matter.
do you think technologies like Skype were a step back in social interaction? So if my relatives are in the US,
That's what I'm saying. If the technology is so good that it can replace the physical interaction, then only this is a concern. But Skype is not yet at that level. That's what I feel. It still does not give you the 3D feel, if I would say, and the being there with the person and
You want people out of the laptop, right?
So I think from the discussion what we are having, the group is very much not very comfortable with the idea of using technology in our day-to-day life. But yes, we can also look at the possibility of using the same technology in the industrial.
The thing is, we want to go further, but then there should be a restriction on how we're taking that forward.
excessive proliferation will always
That
be a.
should be in the individual's hand, that how much I
Very
want.
controlled advancement of technology is what we need, because
But then the question comes is how do you define control?
you should ensure that whatever technology you bring in, you should first weigh the negatives of it before actually bringing it on.
Basically,
Like I read about Google Glass somewhere that a lot of countries in the world have said we will not let this product be available in the country because they know it can be used for very negative purposes and stuff like that. So how does Google plan to what do you say?
No, but what is wrong for you might be right for him, right?
So there are a lot
It's
of
very subjective matter.
So I think it's a very individual thing. It's something like in the field of medicine, every person's DNA is unique, and the medicines for that person has to be unique. So technology like this has to be very specific from person to person, because two people will never think the same. What I think and what he thinks will always be different to some extent. So the personalized maybe tuning of the equipment should be there in my hand, like to what level I want the information to be shared and to whom and things like
So
that.
it's more like you're having privacy controls on your Facebook or something. You let them know when you want to share your location. You let them know when you want others to see your information, and you have an indication saying video is being taken or photo is being taken. Things like that, which which makes sure that that technology is not used as a stealth device, but rather as a something for social.
Maybe something like you get a permission request. This person wants to see your video or whatever.
So I think we are talking about a time when the other guy also has the same thing, right? So even if the wearable, so I think the feeling of individual. So I think the feeling of individuality should remain with the technology aspect also, because if you buy a watch, you buy it because you like it, right? And if you have a technology to supplement it, that technology should be personalized to you. I think that is the gist of that you guys were saying. Right? So okay, now we can move on to a bit of a privacy and ethics issue. So what kind of issues do you think might come up? You have covered a few, like for example, in case of women's security, it would be a good for a girl to wear it in a place where criminal rate is high. But on the other hand, a stalker can actually stalk a girl. So that aspect is there. But in terms of ethics, like how do you perceive this kind of technology to change the rules or behaviors in a industrial setting? So for example, you are walking into a meeting wearing a Google Glass. So you actually can have industrial espionage and all those kind of things.
So I think there will be a lot of restrictions. Even I know some R&D centers now, they don't allow your smartphones to be taken inside.
Right.
People carry those very Nokia 1100 phones. So those kind of restrictions will always be there in places where data security is of prime importance. And that's it. So those kind of restrictions will take place a lot. And in our personal behavior also, we'll have to be very careful, as in in groups where we are confident as to our interpretations of things or our views will not be misused or misrepresented. But in any professional setting, we'll have to be very careful as professionals.
See, as the technology changes, perhaps the IP rules should also be relooked upon. For example, as you just mentioned that you're getting into a meeting and someone else is tracking whatever details you're having. So such kind of things should be incorporated while developing such a technology.
Yeah, imagine you could wear a technology to the exam.
Yeah.
What use is the exam?
Obviously, you would love to do that, right?
Yeah. I mean, who will spend the entire night
So I'm
writing
just saying that ethics will come into picture because people will obviously try to make use of the technology for negative things too.
At the same time, you cannot stop the evolution of technology.
You can't.
It will come, and you'll have to
Find ways to curb it.
So, the government, regulatory authorities, and all will have to be really cautious about the kind of things which are being put
Having
in.
said that, there are a lot of positive uses that it can be put
Yes.
into. Those have to be explored, and I don't know how far it is possible, but people have to be morally told to use it in the positive way and not in the negative way.
I think people to use it morally is never going to happen.
I think there will be again a course, it's an MBA course, that
How to use technology.
how to use
Morally.
technology morally
Morally.
and to save yourself.
So okay, so I think
I think the Maggie.
the ethics and privacy part are actually a big concern for all of us, and I think even the society and the government has to evolve with the technology. I think the technology is right now outpacing the evolution of human mind towards all these aspects. So in terms of utility for you, would you prefer using this kind of scenario in a shopping scene? So for example, if you go out shopping, right, what would you do with it?
You could look at the product, compare prices with in real time. You can compare prices in the nearby stores, or you could get reviews. You can. There's a lot of stuff if you.
I think shopping is a good idea.
I think so. I think one of the things that I would like to do is I would like to see the apparel on myself. Like I can have augmented reality kind of
Or
process.
maybe the same thing in different colors.
Right. So
You can actually put the clothes on your virtual figure.
You know, a lot
And
of
actually,
guys
yeah.
would be happy because the time spent in
Figure.
shopping would reduce.
By the word. No.
sure.
The time of going to the trial room again and again, that would come down. So
Somebody has experience.
And actually, it could,
generally, guys would be happy.
it could improve our operational efficiency when we are going to buy a shirt.
Operation.
Yeah.
Yes.
That's what we did.
ठीक है. So I think
right out of the store you can know what all they have inside. So you know whether to go into the store
Oh,
or
and if
not
you could
go into
also
the
find out how many other people have bought it.
so that you don't buy it.
So that
Okay. But there's a flip side to it as well.
Yeah, that depends on
Nobody is buying it.
Guys will
There's a
buy it
reason
and
for
girls
it.
won't buy it.
No, if nobody is buying it, there would be a reason for it, right?
No, you don't wanna-
We'll have our ways to, measure it.
Sure.
among boys will be साले बड़े पैसे हो रहे हैं तेरे पास.
we are deviating from the topic.
हाँ.
So I think it was a good discussion, and I think we covered a lot of aspects. And I'm sure. So I would like to just have a brief summary from each one of you as to how this technology, what future do you see for this technology, and some issues that you would like to point.
I think the future is subject a lot to the functionality, the ease of its usage, and the level of personalization that is possible. So it totally depends on that.
So I think the future, I mean, the evaluation will definitely take place, but the pace of evaluation will be more governed by the kind of price points which the product is sold at, and it will not be governed so much by the kind of apps which are there on it. So I think the product development will be more of a technology driven or more less than usage driven.
As you quoted that probably the technology is outpacing the evolution of human mind. Perhaps we can categorize the needs into must, wants, and nice to be's, and first target towards the must part of it. For example, healthcare industry, and start using the technology in those fields.
I think there's a lot of potential in the wearable technology space. We can do a lot, but at the same time, I think the best way forward would be developing specific wearable technologies for specific purposes. Like it shouldn't be one all. You have this thing and you can do everything, because that'll expand the scope of things possible. This way, at least you'll have some control over what wearable technology does. So you know what are the positives and negatives.
I see that there is a lot of applications that can be that's possible in the wearable technology field. It all depends on how unobtrusive it is and how evolved the technology will become in the near future and how affordable it is. And I think it has a lot of professional usage potential, more than being used for common usages. So I think that way, and the other things to take care would be, of course, the privacy concerns, the security concerns that would come along with the technology evolution.
Okay. Well, thanks guys. Thanks for your. बंदी होगी